Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for October 3rd through 7th, 2022. Wow. Well, yesterday, Mercury turned direct on October 2nd. So there is a brand new start energy, something we haven't felt in a long time. Of course, Mercury has to come out of retrograde shadow, and that will be completed on the 17th of October. Very dynamic month, both October and November. Wow. But Mercury turning direct is kind of like, oh, wait, there's a shift coming. Now we've got Pluto turning direct on October 9th and Saturn turning direct on October 23rd. So we are having direct motion, but right now we just are in this, as much as there's this like, oh, wait, it doesn't, there's something shifting and moving, but we're headlong into this Saturn square Uranus transit, which is so intense and it's bringing a feeling of gridlock, right? And there's this pressure to move and finally grow and expand and get back on your path, you know? But then this incredible tense fixed square that's saying, "Oh no, you don't." You know, and it's the pressure being put on all of the systems and structures of our lives, personal and collective, that have not yet been able to shift. And I can just feel that you can sense for you personally what that is, right? And it's just like pressure to change, but also this like gridlock feeling. This isn't helped by the fact that Mars is getting further along. Mars has now made it 21 degrees of Gemini and will turn retrograde at 25 degrees Gemini on the 31st. So Mars is our main action planet, Mercury as well. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, something's moving again. But then our main action planet going retrograde and Mars retrograde lasts quite a while, all the way through January 12th. And Mars won't come out of that retrograde shadow until the middle of March. So 2023. So that means this next 6 months of Mars and Gemini and this incredible journey we got in those messages about this remembering, this reinitiation, and it's ultimately an activation of of the power of our voice. But our voice has been so shut down. It's interesting because Mars is our warrior, a masculine planet. Let's go, let's do it. But the voice that's been shut down is the feminine. And it's kinda sweet because it's like Mars is going to bat for Venus. And this is an interesting energy because Venus is just right on center stage right now because Venus is the only planet that's direct. And she has been in a very intense opposition with Jupiter, taking her turn. Of course, we had Mercury, then the Sun, then Mercury, or not Venus, now Mercury again in this opposition, trading off with these oppositions with Neptune and Jupiter. The end in Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Aries, the end and the beginning, the end of the zodiac and the beginning of a new cycle. So it's speaking to this, and everywhere there's nines and ones right now. It's just like ending, beginning, ending, beginning, ending, beginning. And then it's that feeling that we've been feeling since for the last 2, 3 years. It's like stuck in between timelines. What do you mean I can't? Beginning of what? And feeling so lost and confused. Now, this is because of these Neptune transits, and Mercury opposite Neptune will be feeling all the way up till this weekend when we have the Aries full moon on Sunday. So that Mercury opposite Neptune, oh my goodness, is like 2.5 weeks of that influence. And Mercury, it's like Mercury retrograde is about rethinking and reanalyzing and resorting through our perspective and adjustment. Um, but opposition to Neptune is just like there's no clarity there. It's just this constant, I don't know what's up from down. I can't tell what's good, what's bad for me. I can't tell what I want or what I don't want anymore. And it's just this like total dissolving of the personality, which is healthy in these times. It's good to know what's happening. And but then we're having a very powerful activation later in the month as Venus Venus is now in this opposition with Jupiter. And we're going to be feeling that just for the next couple of days. But it's been this quandary over this desire for movement and freedom and life force and power versus family, love, security, support. And it's like this feminine, it's just like, ooh, a replay for the feminine over hundreds of years of being completely giving their power, the feminine giving their power over to the masculine patriarchy. And not, again, not having that voice. But Venus is frustrated opposite of Jupiter and being like, "Oh, I want to come back into my power and it's all that matters." And it's like, "Oh, but like, want to keep it all good for everybody." And, so how can she have family and support and come into her power? This is the quandary of the feminine. And that's been the main energy over the last couple of days. Now, Venus in Libra is will be catching up to the sun. And this is very powerful because Venus and the sun move at just kind of they're, kind of closest in their rate. So their Venus coming up to the sun is going to mean that they're going to be together pretty much for the second half of October. And on the 23rd, Venus and the sun move over into Scorpio together. So it's like we've had this huge identity breakdown of who we are, who we thought we were, what's going on, and our psyche is breaking down. It's so great to get rid of mind control and conditioning. But as that's breaking down, it's quite a process, of cognitive dissonance and this and all the stages of grief that you need to go through to deal with the fact that the truth you were told um, is a complete lie. you know, this is the energy of this time, this week, this full moon coming up. We're entering the Mercury turning direct. We're entering a season of disclosure. We haven't really felt the South Node in Scorpio being activated. And so as we move into Scorpio season, the Sun and Venus together moving over to Scorpio is telling us something important. And then in November, they will both come up into conjunctions with the North Node, or excuse me, the South Node of the Moon. This is about cleaning up the identity constructs of the feminine, bringing her out of the shadows and back into the light, which brings me back to the silencing. What was cut out of the Bible and what was destroyed and hidden and corrupted in were the ancient teachings of the feminine because those energies keep you in connection to the earth. And when you're in connection to the rhythm and the seasons and the earth and healing, and you can feel the power of the body to heal itself, then it's hard to be so scared of death. And it's hard to be so traumatized by life. And yet here we are living in this zombified, disconnected state. So here we have Mars fighting for the voice, our truth, the scrolls that had been hidden of these ancient teachings. And just as an example of, we've all been silenced in so many different ways, especially this last couple of years, if you wanted to speak any stitch of truth. Um, it's a very hostile environment as we're playing out this massive silencing of really the voice of the feminine when we come down to it. The technology that's been stolen from us, our intuitive power, our akashic memories, our ability to access past life and akashic memories, that's intuitive feminine work and healing. I mean, I'm just like thinking about this whole thing with this Aries full moon coming up this weekend. Aries is about life force. And of course, Chiron and Aries is just this battle and this fight and this woundedness around where we gave away our power and our life force and how to claim it back. Indeed, this is what we're all going through, whether we know it or not, in our physical bodies because of the environment of these times. With being poisoned with nanotechnology and inundated with frequencies. Um, and poisoning that's been happening on all levels of our reality for so long. Um, we're fighting for this life force back. And it's like, wow, look at what extent this play out of drama we've been going through for the last few years The extent that the control energies are willing to go to keep us, I mean, literally, uh, forced invasion and infiltration into the body with a needle, and like to distort and alter our God code DNA and keep us from ever being able to spiritually expand and evolve. But it all comes down to the threat they feel by our immune system. They interfere with our God code by distorting our immune system. Our immune system holds all the power. All the power of the world has contrived this massive nightmare that's been going on. Every single disease that man's ever had is patented. So we're in the nightmare, but it's like now it's all being revealed. And this is the season of disclosure that we're entering into. It's not going to be pretty. It's like we've got to face these hard, dark truths of what has gone into. But just think about this. Our little old immune system in our little old human body. We've been told we're nothing, we're insignificant, we're just one speck out there in the big, multiverse of everything. We're just alone spinning around on this planet and solar system, you know, and it's like you're so big and you're so powerful. I mean, you are the universe incarnate in form. And what is that life force? That's our immune system. And there's going to be a massive revolution in health as we have been given the opportunity through this interference energy. Um, it gives people the opportunity to fight for life. And those of us supernova souls, we've already been doing this for long enough. We're going to move out of this whole energy, right? And that's exactly what this Aries full moon, because this Aries full moon happens on Sunday at 2:55 p.m. in Mountain Time, and the activation will be at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on Sunday, October 9th. So look out for that. And it's happening at 16 degrees, 33 minutes. And that's just a couple of degrees away from Chiron. So the full moon is just like shining this light on Chiron. It's like the height and this kind of pinnacle energy of Chiron. Now, that's really interesting because Chiron is retrograde and is at 14 degrees. And so it will be turning direct and then heading back into the second part of Aries, not to return to the first part of Aries next year. So it's like a midpoint. We're coming to this culmination midpoint. What is the deal with Chiron and Aries? And this full moon is like, okay, here you go. Here's the spotlight on that. Now, the cool thing is that, but going back to this life force thing, that's the Aries energy. And then we're facing, especially as advanced souls, where we were manipulated and tricked and where we gave away our power. We said to outside authorities, we all agreed. We said, it's like they're like, you can incarnate here. We can't stop you from coming under no circumstances. Will you come in or remember who you are or come into your intuitive power, hook up your machinery that is your higher free energy technology, right? Under no circumstances. And we said, okay, okay, we're just so excited to come to Earth and help. And now we have to rearrange these contracts of anywhere. Now, this contract, this ultimate, I'd say that I call it a um, original contract with authority energies. And this contract leads through everywhere of our life, and it's like because this whole deal is set up on a restriction energy of spiritual evolution. So we're claiming back our right to evolve. And the only reason they don't want us to evolve is kind of like, why would they go through all this? What is the deal? It's like, because we're like this really great food source for them. Our misery and trauma and suffering is food source. And so it's kind of like supernova souls one by one leading the way for humanity saying, oh, no, 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 no. Maybe I did give over my power and I let you be in charge of it because you tricked me into thinking that I couldn't handle it. It's too scary. But now I see it was mine all along. And, you know, this is where we get to this tricky place where it's just like, oh, well, now that I understand, you can get just, you know, they'll just give it back to me and I can just clear this contract. It's like, no, it's not that easy. We've got to claim it. And this is this Chiron and Aries, a warrior, the wounded warrior becoming the healed warrior and being pissed enough to get over that all that fear programming and just be like, "Rawr!" It's like, "It's mine again." And because this is the truth, we have the energy of the universe within us and accessible. And we're feeding the parasitic forces that are holding back evolution. And so this is where the game changes and the flip happens because one by one, especially supernova souls, disconnecting and being like, "Oh, no, 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 this is all mine, all mine." And everybody who's ever staken a claim on your energy shows up. They're like, "What? What? You can't do that." Nobody in your life wants you to move forward. And a lot of times, this is how supernova souls feel. Um, and it's kind of like that reflects these authority contracts where it's just like, oh, no, no, no. This is about me claiming my power, not living my life to make you happy or keep you from feeling the feelings you don't want to feel, you know? So it's a selfish energy. And on the other hand, we've had this whole Libra activation of Mercury retrograde in Libra. Now, Mercury will go back into Libra on the 11th. So we have this culmination energy, this Aries full moon, Chiron, the issues we're really dealing with here up on the front and center. Um, and then, and the influence of Mercury opposite Neptune will last up until the full moon. And then Mercury will move back into Libra. That means Mercury is going to move back into that third and final opposition with Jupiter, the same issues we've had. How can we be in peace and harmony and be warriors for freedom and sovereignty? How can we have our own power and have love and support from the people around us? And so these issues are just so core for supernova souls. And it's just heart wrenching. And it's just like, oh, just so frustrating. And at the same time, we've got all these Neptune transits keeping us from being able to see what's up from down, left from right, truth from false. But the message is we are entering this massive season of disclosure because we've got it's eclipse season. Okay. So this Aries full moon on Sunday is the beginning of eclipse season because the following lunation will be a lunar, partial solar eclipse that happens in Scorpio on October 25th. And then there is a total lunar eclipse on November 8th in Taurus on election day in the US. Now, we're going to take into account um, that all of these planets now will be like the Sun and Venus together moving over into Scorpio and then interacting with that South Node. And the South Node is now at 13 degrees Scorpio. And so it's going to be bam, 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 bam of this activation of the South Node in Scorpio. And the South Node is what's holding us back from moving forward. And so it's deception, lies, just total. We've been so gaslit, brainwashed. And oh my gosh, when you find out what has gone in to holding this process back. I mean, and this maybe it's part of those stages of grief and getting to that righteous anger and be like, do you realize that we've already experienced this higher level of technology and autonomy on Earth in recent hundreds, a few hundred years ago? And what's happened is we've had series of reset after reset after reset. Again, perhaps the message coming through is true. Just like every single dis-ease that we've had, this whole story of health throughout this evolution as a patent was created by man or aliens, men, right? Now, perhaps that also means that every single catastrophe was man-made as well with directed energy weapons. And that's what has been shown to me in past life pictures of Atlantis. And then you took the blame. And so much is happening with this. We really do need to talk about this Saturn square Uranus, this gridlock energy, because a lot of it, especially for supernova souls, has to do with your role that you're here to play in the Aquarian age, this Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is speaking to the limitations that we're living with right now what's keeping us from moving into the golden age from the last golden age, which was Atlantean time. And then Atlantean time was infiltrated and corrupted by these control energies. And oh, look at that, catastrophes and reset, floods and all of it, right? And so this gridlock, this clearing of contracts for supernova souls has a lot to do with where you are still feeling responsible for Atlantean catastrophes and getting out from under the rubble of those stories. And maybe that's why this truth disclosure is so powerful, because it's like, wait a minute, that's just their role. They've been just playing, working against. Somehow we all agreed to play this all out, but it's like so much has gone into blocking us at every turn, advanced souls that have within us this memory are this close. It's like we're this close to this massive activation that's going to bring the whole world into a new level of consciousness. Nothing can stop this. And what it is supernova souls coming online. So it's a sweet thing that for this full moon, the sun is in trine to Saturn. And so even though for this full moon we have this gridlock Saturn square Uranus, it's like something huge has to change, but it's gonna it's gonna be so tumultuous. I'm just gonna hold on for dear life to the sinking ship, you know? And then, but the sun in trine is an air trine, very sweet energy. And so the sun in trine to Saturn is harmonizing this square, but telling us that it's about our identity in the Aquarian age, which is our identity in the Atlantean time when we were fully accessing our technology, our gifts and skills. We were supported. We had a team to work with. It was a beautiful, beautiful time, but we got too close to the edge, right? And so then, of course, the story is that our power created this catastrophe. Now, how many supernova souls, as much as you love the earth and love nature and energy, but it's difficult, find it difficult to really ground and connect and feel safe on the earth because of what you've gone through here. This is such a core, this is our root chakra. It's so core. It's everything. We've got to orient here before we can do any work on any other level. And yet this has been just elusive for supernova souls. Just attack on the root chakra again and again, of like no security for you. No home, no security, no family, and of course that's what's coming up with this Libra opposite Libra Aries axis. So when we can release the karma of our false identity crisis constructs that have to do with the Aquarian age, or the last Aquarian age, which was Atlantean time, and we get out from under that rubble, and we understand that we've already had access to our higher power, to our intuitive gifts, to our light body, to free energy. And so what's stopping us from taking it back and moving back into it? Only fear and anxiety programming. It's really important to understand the root chakra is when you feel fear and anxiety, it has to do with the root chakra. And m- most it's almost it's always involves root chakra energy. And we've been programmed, literally, even implants or electromagnetic stimulation, the buildup of nanotechnology in the areas of our brain where we hold trauma memories, all designed to keep us in anxiety and fear. But when you recognize that that's programming, it's an electromagnetic message that you're receiving, there's a very powerful thing happening for supernova souls of that bending reality and saying, actually, it's my brain, my chemicals, you know, and being able to just, it's like Jedi mind trick, mind power that we have that we don't even know we have. But being like, yeah, I'm not going to feel what you're telling me to feel because I'm sovereign and I'm a badass and I've gone through so much shit. And what are you gonna do to me, right? It's like the power that's coming forward in supernova souls of an invincible energy. This is your light body activation where everything can just bounce off. And it's the effect of, instead of everything coming at you, is polar flip, where it's like you're emanating out love, and peace, the new currency. And it's kind of like your energy has the effect, not by agenda or I'm going to go out there and heal. We got to be really careful of that. That's karma, right? But the effect of your energy around other people, just harmonizing and just, entities can just are flying out of their field just from being around you. And you're no longer have to take on the projections and the fear of the people around you because it just bounces off. And that halo activation of your crown chakra and the light body, it's like then it's really hard for you to be the bad guy, right? And the evil one when you're glowing with golden light, you know? So I think that's a lot of what this Su- Sun Venus transit on the 23rd into Scorpio together. It's this identity crisis and reworking of the feminine identity. So, how cool that Mars then turns retrograde right after that. And it's like the warrior going, the our masculine warrior going to battle for the feminine and being like, yeah, we all have to uncover our voice, our emotions, our truth, our come back to earth and reality, get out of this stupor of programming. And so much of the astrology is speaking to this because we do have this Mercury opposite Neptune now turning direct, but that also puts now that Mercury's direct, it puts him right back into this trine with Pluto. And the trine with Pluto is we'll be feeling that all the way through the 10th, through this full moon, right? So we've got Mercury trine Pluto, Mercury opposite Neptune leading up to this full moon, and it's kind of this rehash, the third and final transit. You know how Mercury or retrograde will often create two or three times passing over. And so it's very powerful message because Pluto is our structures in Capricorn, it's structures of authority. So we are talking about this, like this Aries activation. It's like I'm taking back my power and I'm not scared of you anymore. Like understanding that we're more powerful and love. It's like, you know, and coming back into this. And so there's this harmonious support to breaking these contracts wherever we've given our power away. And like we said, this bleeds into all our relationships. It becomes everything about control. It's all about keeping you and distracted from your purpose, from your expansion, from your gifts, from your skills, from who you really are. Invalidated, small, invisible, hiding. And so it's a really awesome energy to have this this long-term trine with Pluto giving us the support to break contractual arrangements anywhere we put other um, energies in front of our own spiritual destiny. And so this is on the table through this Aries full moon. And like we said, the moon will be in conjunction to Chiron. That puts the sun in opposition to Chiron. So it's all of our identities we're facing down of these false constructs. And um, and so these false constructs are energies of where we got so wounded, we took on the identity of that woundedness. And I know it's such a frustrating place to be, but it's also real. It's almost like we've been denying that we've been victims. And there's the unacknowledged victim. It's like, well, I don't want to play victim. I don't want to go in that energy, but you find yourself there again and again, don't you, supernova soul? And you're like, what am I doing here again? So we got to go there. We got to be brave. And that's what this whole season has been about with Black Moon Lilith Square Chiron, kind of leading us into this whole chapter. And we've got to be brave and claim back this power and brave to face down that fear programming and brave to claim back our intuitive power. So, um, Look out for this Aries full moon activation Sunday, October 9th at 11 a.m. I'd love to have you there with us as we claim back this power together. And we'll be feeling that Mercury trine Pluto. And oh, that's what I forgot. On the 9th, it's such a powerful energy because on the day of this Aries full moon, Pluto turns direct. So it's like that forward motion. Saturn turns direct on the 23rd. And even though we got Mars retrograde, it's like this, we're going to feel this back and forth type thing. But at least we have an idea of where we're going now, or we should after we get through the Neptune transits. Of course, that's part of the confusion because Mars getting ready to turn retrograde is in that square with Neptune. That will be through the second week of October. We're already feeling it. And so it's like we've had a month of positions with Neptune and 6 weeks even. And now Mars comes into square with Neptune. But squares are different and it's about tension. And Mars in Gemini is about expression, right? So that's where we get this energy of disclosure. Now, Mars doesn't turn direct until January. So it makes, and then, but we've got these eclipses, one at the end of October, one at the beginning of November. And so this eclipse season, the activation of the South Node in Scorpio, taking us all the way into the new year, 2023, 6 months, it's a major activate. It's a reinitiation, reimagination, reawakening, remembering who you really are. And it's also a season of disclosure. And so we're going to be learning new truths every day. All of us, even if we think we know everything, our minds are going to be completely blown. And that's a really good place to be right now. It sucks, like we said, that cognitive dissonance that, oh my God, I don't even know who I am because my whole reality's unwinding. We got to get used to being there and being comfortable with being there. And that's maybe the next 6 months, right? Being comfortable, the uncomfortable. But if it's an empowered uncomfortable, if you know you're finally going to where you came to go and it's not that far away, it's just a final turn. We're in the final, this Saturn square Uranus for the last year and a half, we've been feeling it in the 90-degree fixed square. 90-degree turn is coming. Some sort of inside out flip, dimensional shift, it's coming. And this is our preparation time. And it's our time. And so much that full moon in that happens, the full moon, the next full moon after this one is that total lunar eclipse on election day in Taurus, and Taurus rules money and finances. And so the disclosure energy is around dark money and dark money systems and the financial slavery that we've been in, especially since they've been lying to us about our true history, abilities, and technology like free energy. And so that's ripe to come out into the open. And that eclipse is going to be a powerful opportunity. So we're looking at with Uranus and Taurus and the North Node in Taurus, and then in 2023 and 2024, we've got a sextile as Saturn moves into, or Aries moves into, will move into Taurus, and Saturn will be in Pisces. And so it's a real powerful activation of this new higher vibrational energy in Taurus. If we look at it as our resources, it's this whole thing of coming back down to earth with what really matters. It's interesting because we're raising our vibration and we're like going to another dimension or whatever, but we're actually coming down to earth. We're incarnating heaven on earth here. And so we're looking at this reveal and disclosure of the dark money and the fact that money has been just dark and used, just we've been so manipulated, just like our power. And just like, oh, yeah, we have free energy, but we're going to push it through wires just to keep you as slaves and paying for it, put up all this infrastructure. That shit's all coming down. And we'll get back to what we had before. It's nothing new. We've already had this technology, it was stolen from us. But we're looking at a new currency, right? We're looking at this whole time we're in for humanity is about coming back down to what really matters. Like, oh, we're a soul and a body. If you want to just be here to consume and experience, whatever, but it's like whoa, what really matters? What's going on? What's palpable? And the money, we've been controlled by this paper, just printing paper money, right? And so we need to get down to what really matters. And that's actually the resources, actually real tangible resources. But it's interesting because the currency we're really talking about, because ultimately, if we go back to free energy, then we don't, money's going to just be a completely different thing. We've been completely controlled by the petrodollar. And so the new currency, that really the only thing that matters and all we really have is love. And that's what the supernova soul is here for. And we're getting this massive activation into this harmony and balance and the archetypal, unique, utopian picture of the perfect balance between masculine and feminine, in this society based on peace and love and caring for each other the way that we know it's supposed to be, the right way. And that is telling us that the new currency we're really waiting for or looking for is love, and that's us. And so, but we have to understand also all the mind control and infiltration and interference energies we've dealt with, and we're learning how to overcome that to come back to joy. They want to keep us in misery, and they want to keep us in depression, and there's literal physical electromagnetic processes going on, but it can all be overcome. And this Libra utopia is speaking to the early degrees of Libra as Mercury comes back over this between the 11th to the 17th. Oh, wow, because that's the same time we're going to have that Mars square Neptune. Ooh, pressure for disclosure and truth coming out. Um, and but also it's about this rebirth of a new renaissance. And we can come back to this perfect love by healing our brain and claiming back our immune system, the power of our body to heal itself. And then our right and left brain can operate together in this perfect balance. And we can come back into co creation. The co creation is like a oneness, and you're working together with the universe. It's not an agenda or a plan, it's only source and the divine plan, the ultimate, the Gaia codes that you have within you that are awakening now. And we have to be loyal and true to this only, right? No outside loyalties sides besides source. And then it's like, yeah, I can enter into agreements and work with you if you also have this agreement with your higher self and source. And the problem has been we've been trying to come together and work together, and then everything's infiltrated. And our own minds are infiltrated, and our the entities trying to come and take over our bodies. And we got like all this garbage, and then all this weird, psychic shit that goes on that's just constantly distracting and pulling away from what it is. And it makes, and supernova souls have been kind of like, oh, I'm not going to bother then. The energy is just so hostile. Nothing is working. So why even bother, right? That's when you step above, rise above. We're going to stand up in our power and remember that we've already been there and it's ours to have. And that just completely negates that fear and anxiety programming that you're inevitably going to find, right? And then invites us back into this beautiful union in this heaven on earth and the new currency, supernova souls in love, in love with life, in love with the cosmos and source, and being like, hey, you guys, we're going to be here now and emanate the energy we came to emanate. Nothing can stop it now. Nothing can hold it. And this astrology is about overcoming all of it. So very powerful. And thank you so much for being with me. I hope you'll consider joining that Aries full moon activation. What a powerful energy to come together and ground out and work, maybe clear these authority contracts, move into this permission to our access this power and abundance and uh, immune system, life force, energy of the universe available right here. Um, and kind of explore that. There's an energy for this Aries full moon around an activation of the crown chakra, of basically taking back that halo and that purity and that glowing gold light that is the truth of who you are as a soul. And nothing can argue with that. And much easier to find each other that way, but we've been hiding this and scared of it, you know? So huge shifts on the way. And that is why this is a massive preparation, integration, remembering, initiation process. So I'm so happy to be here with you. Let's stick together, stay in communication as we move through these powerful times together. So I look forward to seeing you soon, maybe next weekend at that Aries full moon activation or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.